Good morning, YouTube. Or, well, at least it's morning where I was recording this. Hey, so as you can see, we're back here at Clara Barton. I was itching. It's been raining for like a week straight, and I really just wanted to get out. I wanted to do a little bit of flying. But of course, we always have to have stated goals. So today's mission objective, much like the last time I was here with the apprentice Missy, we're going to be trying to do some landing practice, making sure that I really start to get the feel of landing the T-28 Trojan, known as Clara here, and really looking to just line up nice, good, gentle glide slopes, nail the landings. If you'll remember, the runway here is still torn up because of all the construction that they've been doing, so I'm kind of chopped down to 1/3. I did take the time to take a look down at the far end of the runway just to make sure that if I had to do a short landing, I could be able to land down there. And it's going to turn out to be good that I did that by the end of this video. The other thing that you'll notice is I am now aware that 46 miles an hour is her slick configured airspeed. So I'm actually trying to hold her at that airspeed as I do orbits around the field. So here we go. We're going to do a couple of touch and goes, and let's see how they work out. But before I do that, I want to find out how she flies when she's configured for landing. This is so that way I can execute a go-around while configured in landing mode with flaps fully extended. So I started at 230 feet throughout all the flaps and gear. She's descended down to somewhere in the 140 range, so dropped about 90 feet. And I'm going to apply power and just try and fly her, holding her at a constant 140 feet while she is configured for landing, just so that way I can get a sense of what it's going to take to do a missed approach if I was near the ground. Could I actually get her to fly in this configuration, and how much power would it take? And also, as I start to retract the gear, how does she behave? How much altitude does she lose? I was satisfied enough that she actually could hold altitude in landing configuration that I decided to go ahead and execute this as a missed approach. So what we're going to see is, here we go, as I line her up for the runway, and right at the last minute I'm going to drop down in altitude, come right next to the ground, and then I'm going to apply power and execute the miss approach and do a fly around, or a go around. Again, satisfied with the go-around and the landing configuration, I'm going to go ahead and shoot this as an actual landing. Here we go with landing 1 and 2. Everything seems to be in order, all parts and pieces accounted for. Let's go ahead and taxi over and reset. Something that I've noticed, and I don't understand, why is it whenever I do the practice landings where I intend to take off again, they are so sweet and just so perfect, yet when I'm actually doing the final landing of the day, I always come in and land really hard. I'm not sure what that's about. Here you can see me taking a closer look at the gravel trench that I was telling you about before, the one that cuts the parking lot into thirds, and makes it so that way I can't use the whole parking lot as a landing strip. Alright, so we're set up for takeoff, and here we go. I'm going to do 2 orbits before I actually set up for another landing attempt. But I'm going to take this moment to tell you, it is a beautiful day. Winds are relatively calm, it's sunny for the first time in a week. Most importantly, I am in the sky. I cannot tell you how much I love this, how fun this is. It's the most fun you can have with your pants on. I've heard that before, and for me, this really is exactly that. I am just ecstatic to be here and flying and having the sky to myself. So just enjoy the moment here. Watch here as the nose pitches up as I throw out the first settings of flaps. So I control the altitude, and as I turn from base onto final, you can see that I've overshot and I have to add in some extra corrections. Finally, all lined up here with the runway, I go ahead and throw out the landing flaps and gear. I control the descent with throttle, I flare at just the right moment, and it is the most beautiful landing of the day. Again, all parts and pieces accounted for, time to reset. And now here's where the day starts to get away from me. I've had 2 successful landings, the sky is absolutely gorgeous, but I'm going to get a little bit lax. Let me unpack that for you here. I want to draw your attention to the battery metrics in the lower left-hand corner. There's the current voltage, the amps currently being drawn by the aircraft, and the total milliamps consumed so far this flight. The 3-cell battery that I'm flying is rated for 3200 milliamps. I always like to fly my batteries to 80% of their capacity, so in this case that's 2500 milliamps. This has always worked fine in The Apprentice. This battery is actually flown in The Apprentice. What I'm about to find out today, however, is that when you're drawing 30 amps, which is what the battery is rated at, that changes slightly. So all of my focus has always been on the number of milliamps drawn, but I never really have paid much attention to the current voltage. After I do a couple of acrobatics, it's going to come to bite me. It's decision point time. Land or go around. As I approach the turn, I'm looking at the milliamps, not the voltage. I'm thinking to myself, 2100 milliamps, I've got 200 to 300 milliamps in reserve before I hit critical battery. I should have enough to do a go around. Right here, I'm actually making the decision that I'm going to do a go around. I'm not paying attention to the voltage, which as you see has dropped below 10 volts. This is going to cause a forced landing. Coming around the bend, she's already starting to feel less than optimally responsive, and this is the first moment where I look down at the voltage and realize I'm in trouble. Worried that if I wait, I won't have the power to do so, I immediately kick out the gear and drop down the flaps, and start trying to figure out what side of the runway I'm going to have enough energy to land on. It was apparent very quickly that configured for landing and low battery meant she was not going to stay in the air for very long. Even as I turned to final, she started to lose altitude a lot quicker than I wanted. This forced the decision that she was going to have to make a near-field landing, and that part of the parking lot was very rocky, and so it was less than optimal. All things considered, not a bad landing. She did hit a rock and tore out her right landing gear, which is why she's on her wing. But it was a walk of shame and a little hot melt, and she's all back together again.